Live from the CSI Baseball Complex on the campus of the College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet presents NCAA Division II baseball coverage live on the ECC network. We just made our way up the hill from over at softball, where the Dolphins split an East Coast Conference doubleheader with Mercy College earlier today. The Dolphins took the walk-off win in Game 1 on Senior Day by a final score of 5-4, and then dropped Game 2 by a final score of 6-5 in a game that came down to the final at-bat with the tying run standing over at third for the College of Staten Island. Dolphins fall short in that game. And here at the Baseball Diamond, I am joined up in the press box for the first time today by my broadcast partner, Andrew Rotundo. And this is, of course, Joe Foreman once again back on the air with you calling CSI Dolphins baseball. Andrew, welcome to the broadcast. And both runners will advance on that passed ball, and then an error allows the ball to roll into center field. And the Dolphins are quickly on the board for the first time. Just seems to be par for the course today.
Yeah, perfect timing there, Joe. Thank you, by the way, introducing me to the broadcast here. Got finished with two very dramatic, close games down in softball doing public address, but here we are at baseball. I'm looking forward to this one. We just saw Dolphins catch a break there. They get a run in, and they're first of the game, and they're in this one.
We spoke about it earlier in the day, right when we got started over at softball, that there may be a slight chance that we'd be able to make our way up the hill and call some baseball today, and that is the case right now, as we are set up with play going in the bottom half of the second inning. The Dolphins have cut the Purple Knights' lead in half. Our score is now 2-1, though we do apologize. We don't have rosters. We don't have lineups. We just took a seat, and we're here to call the action for you. So I'll do the best that I can with the live stats, as that's grounded through the middle by Nick Cipoletti, and that's into center for a base hit. At least I believe that was Cipoletti.
Yes, it was, Joe.
All right, thank you,
Correct.
Andrew. Cipoletti drives in two with an RBI single, and just like that, or I should say drives in one with an RBI single, and just like that, the Dolphins have tied the score. But I'll get the live stats open on my iPad, hopefully, and that should help me out a bit moving forward in this game.
Yeah, Joe, perfect timing. We get right on the broadcast, and Dolphins come right up and tie the game down 2-0 coming into this side, and now all of a sudden a tie, new ball game.
Well, if you prefer not to hear me tripping over my words at the moment, you can go over to csidolphins.com and follow the live stats. There we have all the information with lineups, batters, defensive alignment. Everything you can think of asking for is there at csidolphins.com at our live stats link. Dolphins dropped Game 1 of this two-game set with the Purple Knights here at home today in lopsided fashion as Joe Masha to the rescue. One roster, but two lineups. So we'll put the lineup cards to the side. We'll share this. That should help us out quite a bit. So let's put our phones on top of that. I'll have the live stats on the left side for you, Andrew.
Perfect.
Slide that over to the right just a bit more. There we go. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Absolutely, Joe.
We broadcast 3 Dolphins baseball and softball games for the first time in a single day this year. At the plate for the Dolphins is Alan Morrell. We saw Morrell hit a 3-run homer in our last broadcast. That was a Dolphins doubleheader against Malloy College. He's ahead in the count here, 2-0 as the runner is going. Throw comes from behind the plate, and once again it skips over to second base, as Tyler Sharfitz had a bit of a hard time reaching second base cleanly with those throws. That's 2 straight that have bounced, and swiping the bag successfully is Cipoletti.
Yeah, they need to clean up those throws down from the plate, as that's another one that bounces, and Dolphins yet again catch a break here in the bottom of the second.
It's 3-0 on Morrell, and he takes that pitch up high for ball 4, so Morrell is on with a 1-out walk. Dolphins now have 2 on base, and Brian Burkhead will come to the plate. Burkhead, a left-handed hitter, facing Justin Nairady, the starting pitcher for the Purple Knights, assuming, of course, they did not make a pitching change before we came up here. Unlikely in the second inning. And Burkhead takes up and away for ball 1. And the 1-0 finds the zone for a called strike 1. Cipoletti, the runner over at second, has good speed, should score on a base hit to the outfield. It would take a hard hit ball to prevent that from happening. Here comes the 1-1. And that sails up and away for ball 2. Two balls and one strike, the count on Burkhead. Nairady takes a look towards second and delivers as that's chopped on the ground to second. Thinking about going to second on that play was Leonard, but he instead decides to take the easy out at first, and Burkhead is retired for out number 2.
Yeah, took a look and just couldn't get it off in time, so he goes for the easy out at first. And now they're going to need a base hit, the Dolphins are, to take the lead here in the bottom of the second.
Jake Myers will come to the plate looking for that big RBI base hit. He's 0 for 1 in this game. And a chance here, as you said, Andrew, to give the Dolphins the lead. Both teams with 2 base hits to this point. Purple Knights with 2 runs on 2 base hits and 1 error. The Dolphins, 2 runs on 2 base hits and no errors. Now, I don't have the stats in front of me, but at the very least, it was his first appearance on the mound at home, but Myers got into pitch during Game 1. That's how out of control that 9th inning got. Dolphins surrendered 10 in the 9th after pulling to within 3 in the bottom half of the 8th. Comes the 1-0 pitch, and that's way upstairs for ball 2.
Now Myers off to a good start here. Up quickly, 2-0 in the count.
Myers in the driver's seat right here, though. First base is open. A dangerous hitter on deck in Dominic Castiglione. And the 2-0 is fouled away. After the next pitch, I'll get you the defensive alignment for the Purple Knights, and with the top of the Dolphins lineup at the plate, I'll get you the CSI starting lineup. And that pitch catches the outside corner. We'll start with the Dolphins starting lineup. At the plate leading off is Jake Myers. Behind him, Castiglione, Ulaj, Martin, Kalika, Gardner, Cipoletti, Morel, Burkhead. And on the mound is John Esposito. That pitch way upstairs once again for ball 3. So Nairady really having some command issues here. Count is full on the Dolphins' second baseman. And Nairady's pitch is fought off down the right field line, and that ball is foul. In the field for the Purple Knights, from first to third, Rodriguez, Leonard, Roberts. We're also in the outfield left to right, Woods, Lee, and Rich. Behind the plate, Sharfitz, and on the mound, Nairady. Another 3-2 pitch upcoming to Jake Myers. And he gets a hold of that one. Bit off balance on the swing. And he's thrown out for the final out of the inning. Dolphins strand a pair, but they score 2 runs and get even. Our score, 2-2, heading to the third.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials, live music, and the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dining order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
And we are back for the top half of the third inning. Score even at 2 between the Purple Knights and the Dolphins. As that pitch is bunted over to third, Ulaj will try the barehanded play, but he can't corral it. And it's a bunt single for Kanal Roberts to open up the third inning.
And Roberts wastes no time on that play. Goes right after the first pitch he sees. And just like that, Bridgeport is on base and cooking here in their side of the third.
That will bring Jake Woods to the plate. Woods is 0 for 1. We have quite the mess here in the booth. Wires everywhere as we try and get Nick onto this broadcast. I should be good. I still hear myself.
No, you're good.
Yeah, you're off, Nick.
Just getting our ducks in row here.
Bit of a scramble to get set up here, but I think we're managing pretty well as count is 0-1 on Woods. And I'll check on the runner at first once again as Roberts slides back in safely. All right, Nick, you good?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
There he is.
All right, that's our sideline reporter and my color commentator and engineer for the softball games, Nick Durst, joining Andrew and I on the call.
Hope you guys are washed off that dust or dirt.
We did not. That comes
Not
before
yet.
dinner. That comes before dinner. As they'll check on the runner once again, and Roberts just beats the tag for a second time.
So you guys going to Buffalo Wild Wings for dinner?
Applebee's today.
Applebee's.
Changing it up.
So where do you wipe down? The bathroom here?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That's pretty much what it is. As that's chopped on the infield. Myers comes in and makes the throw in time, and that retires Woods for the first out.
Because it hustled by Myers, had to come on to that one. And he makes a strong throw to first, and that's out number 1 in the inning.
We got to thank our sponsor, You Know I'm Right podcast. A lot of merch in the broadcast booth right now, providing our commentators with hoodies.
Clutch.
Keeping us warm in the cold spring months, as it often gets very cold here at the College of Staten Island. Today, no such day. Best weather of the season, as that's lined out to right field. And ranging to his right to make the play is Gardner for the second out.
Joe, I'm surprised he didn't lose his hat there.
That's a good point. Maybe they got him an appropriately fitting ball cap. I had long hair for about a year. I did not lose any hats, though I must admit I was not playing any outfield.
How many hats did you wear?
Quite a few. Rather than styling long hair, sometimes you just push it back and go with the hat.
Were you running a lot?
I would say no. typically don't like to ruin my hats, and I haven't run on a treadmill in a long time, so no running with the hats on. As I said, I was not patrolling the outfield, and Anthony Pascal is retired for the third out of the inning on that ground out. Dolphins keep the score even, heading to the bottom half of the third.
You Know I'm Right is the podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, entertainment, and pop culture. On the show, hosts Nick and Joe walk guests through the retelling of their humble beginnings, covering an array of topics from specific interests and hobbies to personal opinions regarding each facet of their industry. You Know I'm Right offers insight on how to adapt and advance, and offers alternative advice as opposed to a one-size-fits-all strategy. Above all else, the number one goal of You Know I'm Right is to offer listeners an exclusive behind-the-scenes vantage point not found anywhere else through its increasing list of professional connections. With a following that continues to grow daily, You Know I'm Right is transforming into a must-listen podcast in the right place at the right time. Find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. You do not want to miss an episode of You Know I'm Right.
And we're back as Joe Foreman trying to finish his bite of food here as we see our first few pitches of the inning. And an 0-1 count for Castiglione.
Late lunch.
Well, Andrew, the real reason I had you bring us back was the comment you made during the break, but that will have to wait as Castiglione sends one over the head of the right fielder, Rich, and he's into second base standing with a leadoff double.
We'll get to that comment in a second, Joe, but that's a huge play by Castiglione to lead off the inning. Hits that into the right center deep. And a great play and a double to lead off the inning. And CSI's in a great situation here. But as you were alluding to earlier about your hat wearing, I was going to say that you wear many different hats in many different ways as well.
Okay, so you got to be more specific. What kind of hats are we talking? What kind of areas of expertise are we talking specifically?
Audio, commentating.
I
mean, a lot of different things, Joe.
Meteorology, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Stats, of course. One broadcast, I was a linguist. As Shendi Ulaj takes a called strike.
And others, you were an umpire.
That's correct, and I can't take that as my own today, as we have an umpire in the booth to my left, so I'll have to defer. I can only pretend for so long when the real deal is on hand. And that ball's hit well out to left, but that is hit straight at Woods in left field, and that's a loud out number one for Shendi Ulaj.
What's interesting to note here about the umpires is we just did a doubleheader softball. Both umps short sleeves. This game here, the umpires in the long sleeves are the jacket. So, Joe, what do you tell us about the winds here? Up a little more elevated, so it gets a little more colder on the baseball field sometimes. But surprisingly, we were not freezing at the broadcast table for softball.
Well, I do have something I can tell you, and I'll wait until after this next pitch to make sure I have adequate time. Thomas Martin is the batter, and Martin chops that one foul. So I think what these umpires had going through their heads is they went back and they looked at the box score of the game played last year between these two teams here. They saw that game went 14 innings for, I think it was about 29 runs. Dolphins walked it off in their home opener and won. They said if we get two games like that, it's going to get late and it's going to get cold. So they very wisely went with the jackets, the long sleeves, and came well prepared.
Well, game one certainly went that way. So game two, we'll see how long that one goes. This one goes. Only 7 innings, though, this game.
The score even at 2 as we play in the bottom half of the third. Dolphins have the go-ahead run in scoring position for Martin.
It's a breath of fresh air here today as we actually have an engineer, so very excited about that. Lewis doing an excellent job engineering.
I think we have the most capable broadcasters we've ever had in the booth at one time. We obviously have myself, Nick, Andrew, Lewis, and seated next door is the great Dave Pizzuto. Right on the other side of that wall, Nick.
Gonna have to go running there in between innings.
Absolutely.
Is Dave working or he's hanging out?
Oh, he is hanging out with the ACC of the ECC. Joe Masher, responsible for our rosters and our lineup cards.
And the former SID, talking ECC baseball here at CSI.
We have the former SID, the former ACID, and the current AC, all in the building as that's line foul.
Maybe the future AC or the future SID as well. Future
Maybe.
ACID.
Maybe. We'll find out next fall.
You're some sort of abbreviator yourself, Joe.
Yeah, I'm somewhat of a... I don't know. There's got to be a better word than abbreviator.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought about that as soon as I said it.
Is acronymia an academic discipline?
Talking to the wrong guy, Joe.
Yeah. So, not a linguist.
Not like you.
It's tough to compete as Thomas Martin looks at a called strike 3.
Dolphins in their all white today, and certainly this is their best uniform combination by far.
I think everyone would agree with
I
that.
have to agree with that.
Yeah. I think the issue arises when you end up with multiple uniforms that are designed to be worn as this uniform is, solid white, but then you'll take the white pants from this solid white uniform and combine it with a different color jersey. And I think these pants are designed specifically for this top. So it doesn't work when you try and combine it with the other jerseys.
I can live with the white pants with the blue jerseys, but the blue jerseys with the other blue pants, tough luck.
The mismatch, I think, is what ruins it. And you brought it up when they wore those all-blue uniforms. It was so tough to tell, but there was a difference in the blues. And once you mentioned it, it was very hard for me to unsee it. So you ruined it for me.
And Joe, I know you were a big fan of the patch on the black uniforms. Not the black uniforms, the pink and black uniforms. The pink uniforms, the black sleeves.
Yeah, we won't talk about that again, but let's just say we need an update. And I think that in the near future, hopefully before next season, we'll have that update. We're playoff eligible next year. We can't be playing in the playoffs with that patch on our uniforms. It'd be a bad look.
Well, the ACC does have connections at Legends Sporting Goods
He
or
does.
something along those lines, I think. So we'll see what happens.
Now, that logo that we're referring to and that will remain unnamed, that logo is screen printed into the sleeve. So if they wanted to cover it with a patch, they certainly could. Maybe Joe can hook them up.
So I guess, based on the jerseys, it's pretty much safe to say that I think these jerseys get passed down for years. Nobody gets to keep their jersey, I would think.
Oh, they certainly get passed down. There's no question. And Stephen Kalika just threw a 4-pitch walk, and none of those pitches were particularly close. And that walk is the third for Nia Rady. Now 2 on and 2 out for Pat Gardner. Long look in from Nia Rady ahead of this first pitch. And that's down in the dirt for ball 1. Now, does anyone want to share, for the sake of comedy, what softball was chanting on pitches in the dirt?
I'll pass, Joe.
Andrew will pass. Nick?
Didn't even notice.
Didn't notice. Well, softball did not want those dirty balls. And that was a chant coming from the dugout. It's happened several times this year, and
It was throughout the day today, Joe.
it was as the runner takes turnaround third, but Castiglione will head back as he just wanted to draw a throw, and the bases are now loaded. But I got a good laugh over it the first time I heard it, and there's not many chances you get to make that quip on the air, so I thought we'd take the opportunity one final time this year.
I hear you, Joe.
I know Nick Pavone is enjoying it, watching at home, so at the very least, our audience of 1 likes the call. Though I have to say, we need to clean up after this game. We got covered in dust and chalk behind home plate at softball.
Hit a couple of sandstorms today.
Nick and I were engulfed no less than 2 or 3 times. I'm not sure if you saw it, but that one's hit into shallow left. And coming in to make the catch was Woods for the final out of the inning. So the Dolphins strand the bases loaded. They now have 4 hits in the game, but the score remains even at 2, headed to the 4th.
Stop to make sure someone is okay.
Get in the way and disrupt the situation.
Notify an authority.
Or walk them home safely.
We can change the language around rape.
We can make campuses safer for our teammates, our friends, and our classmates.
We cannot be bystanders.
Taking action isn't always easy, but it's on us
to intervene.
because we can. Learn more and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
And we are back from the CSI Baseball Complex, where the Dolphins and the Purple Knights are tied at 2. Joe Foreman, Andrew Rotundo, and Nick Durst on the call from the College of Staten Island as the Purple Knights come to bat against John Esposito. And for the second consecutive start that we've covered here at home, the opposition gets to Esposito in the first inning.
Yeah, Joe, it's definitely surprising, and we'll see how many pitches he's able to get this game, but we know, as usual, with Esposito, if he's unable to go the full game, Harding is ready to go. They usually taxi those two together.
I'll have to take a look at who pitched during Game 1. We don't have that stat line.
Foreman is muted.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew was tapping the side of his headset. Now, I could hear the tapping, but that didn't exactly communicate that I was muted.
No, there needs to be better ways of communication from me to you.
There needs to be better awareness by me to unmute myself after I'm guzzling down a 1-liter bottle of water. But after the amount of dirt we ingested over at the softball diamond, I needed to hydrate a bit and clear out my throat. Leadoff runner on for the Purple Knights here in the 4th. And that's chopped on the ground by Jeremy Rodriguez. Esposito sets his feet, throws to first. Another low throw, but Kalika handles it.
Yeah, good job by Kalika to handle that low throw. Like you said, another low one, hard to handle, but Kalika right all over it, on top of it, and he's got it for the first out.
Lots of action right now in the bullpen for Bridgeport.
Batter is Tyler Sharfitz, and he hits one out to straightaway right. Gardner plays on the backhand. The runner's being waved home. Throw cut off by Kalika, and the relay is not in time.
That throw that to Kalika, Gronk spiked into his glove and unable to pick it up in time to get the play at the plate. But it would have been a tough play even if he caught it chest high there.
Some would call that a Gronk spike. Some would call that the throw played on a hop. It depends on who you ask. Our scorer last time out said Gronk spike, so, Nick, I appreciate the reference.
Well,
Doesn't mean I agree.
The draft is going on right now, so.
Is it? Still?
Day 3.
Wow.
3 days?
Rounds 4 through 7 today.
Yeah,
Or 5 through 7 today.
I was locked into the Mets-Phillies game last night. Came home, NBA playoffs. Disappointed once again, won't say why.
You know what's disappointing is the fact that the draft was in Las Vegas, and Andrew's second home is in Las Vegas, and he wasn't even there for the draft.
Yeah, plane tickets are a little expensive to get out there right now, Nick.
I know, it's crazy.
They don't comp all your flights. Just tell them who you are. Do they know who you are?
They should.
They should.
At this
That's
point.
right. we met a family member last night of, I believe, either a sports writer, or was it the play-by-play for the University of Michigan? Was it both?
Well, according to her, it was both.
Yeah, it sure seemed like it. Now, I'm not sure if...
Play-by-play for what sport?
College football.
Maybe if it's got to be radio then, because they're nationally broadcast.
Yeah, I'd have to look. From what I was told, this family member was related. I believe she said it was her son.
Her son.
It was her son. So we were told that there was some slogan that Michigan uses. It wound up on all of these merchandise items, and no royalties allowed as the double play ends the inning. So 1-6-3 on the double play to retire Craig Leonard, and Purple Knights do take the lead here in the fourth. They now lead the Dolphins by a score of 3-2, and we'll talk more about this after the break.
Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island. Be sure to check out the Kettle Black's monthly calendar of events, only at kettleblackbar.com.
And we're back from the CSI Baseball Complex as we tried to look into those claims that were made to us last night. We weren't able to verify anything based on what we found online, but one of the fellow baseball fans at the Mets game with us last night was insistent that their family member was a play-by-play commentator and a sports writer in the Michigan area that worked for the University of Michigan broadcasting games.
You know, Joe, she was in the Hyundai Club. You know, she was having a good time in the Hyundai Club. Maybe she just, needed some conversation to make. You needed to say something to make her look like oh my God, look at this person.
Well, I asked her, do you know who we are? She's like, no. So I shared. And she's like, well, I actually know someone who broadcasts football for the University of Michigan. So that was an interesting story from last night. But back to the action as Alan Morrell swings and misses at that pitch for strike 3, and it was quite the night yesterday, to put it mildly.
Well, I would like to announce here that the You Know I'm Right podcast will be having a tailgate at Citi Field, independently of any outsourced companies. So we'll determine that date. I'll let everybody know on the next broadcast.
Perfect.
I will mark my calendar as Brian Burkhead steps into the box and fouls that pitch straight back. But
we won't be having a barbecue. Cannot get the grill to the game, but we'll have most likely paninis.
Nick, last night was my first Mets game, and
ever.
And what transpired had happened. Yeah. What are the chances of that happening again at my next Mets game?
Slim to none.
Maybe you retire from baseball games after that.
I can't believe it was your first game.
Yeah.
How was the drive out there with Foreman? Was he checking? Was he watching any NBA basketball games, or what was going on? Because I got in the car with Foreman on NFL Sunday once, and it was pretty scary.
Now I have to say, I mean, here and there he would try, but for the most part, I would tell him the scores. I would keep him updated.
Yeah, and I should have told you to place a bet. We won't talk about that. Don't like to talk gambling, but let's just say that what I predicted is exactly what happened, and I did not put my money where my mouth was and regretted it later.
So you predicted it okay?
No. I predicted
another sport.
I predicted a fourth quarter collapse, and it sure happened.
Oh, yeah.
But I was driving, couldn't place the bet, and, well, it was a losing night for me, as Brian Burkhead now has a full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes. And Nia Rady's pitch is hit well out to right center field, but ranging to his left to make the catch is Justin Lee for the second out of the inning. That will bring Jake Myers to the plate. Myers is 0 for 2. First pitch from Nia Rady is on the outside corner for a called strike, and I don't know if that was an exhale of exasperation from Myers or just a routine in between pitches. And he takes that pitch out of the zone. A lot of baseball upcoming this week, and then the season is over. We're back on the air tomorrow when the Dolphins take on Deauville College, now Deauville University. We'll see how many times I do that over the course of the day tomorrow. You know, in my head, I'm thinking Deauville University is wrong because now I know that's right, but my instincts have shifted correctly. I'm still reverting back to old habits, though, and saying college as that's blooped straight into the glove of the first baseman Rodriguez, who makes the catch in foul territory for the third out of the inning. Dolphins quickly go down 1-2-3 in the fourth. They trail 3-2.
As a student athlete in college, I first got involved with the NCAA at the national level. It was through the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, SAC, gave me an opportunity to advocate on behalf of all student athletes, to affect change and to make an impact. The NCAA is giving the student athlete a platform to voice their concerns and to be able to advocate for what's going to affect their well-being. The policies that are being put in place are speaking towards academics, they're speaking towards well-being, they're speaking towards fairness, creating a culture so that the student athletes have the best experiences possible.
And we're back. As once again, this is Andrew Rotundo bringing you back. And as we get set for the fifth inning, Dolphins trail by a run to the University of Bridgeport. As the first pitch to Lee is fouled off. As Joe Foreman is enjoying his delicious sandwich still.
He's here. He's just answering a text. But we're back from the College of Staten Island as the second pitch of the inning is fouled away. John Esposito back to the mound for the Dolphins. He's allowed 3 runs, all earned on 5 base hits across 4 innings. He struck out 2. Justin Lee, the first man he'll face here in the 5th. And the 0-2 pitch is in for a called strike 3.
And Justin Lee goes 1-2-3. Great job by Esposito on the mound to start this inning.
Now, is that rhyme intentional, Andrew? Because Nick Durst is a rhyming savant to my left.
That wasn't on purpose.
Okay, you should have said yes.
Should have said yes.
Great minds think alike.
Panic at the Cisco in the booth right now.
Yeah, you should have heard that during Game 1. He dropped that line twice. It's too bad we can't come back from break with music. We can come back from break with some Panic at the Disco playing, and it just makes the bit that much better.
Right.
Well, we definitely could. It would just be challenging. You have to download the video from YouTube, upload it into production truck, play it as a commercial clip.
That sounds like a lot of work.
For just a song to come back to.
Yeah. A lot of work.
If we had if we made a playlist for next school year, put a few songs together and you just have them set to go, and then each time you just drag for the intro. It's worth a thought, but we got to worry about some copyright issues and getting things pulled down for illegal use of music.
Good point.
I think it has to be less than 15 seconds and you're good. So if we come back from break and clip every music piece down to 14 seconds, I think we're fine. At the plate is Kanal Roberts, and he's behind in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Roberts looking for his 3rd hit of the game. He's 2 for 2. 1 away here in the road, 5th inning. And the pitch from Esposito is grounded foul. So I began to talk about it ahead of the last commercial break, but DeUville University comes into the CSI baseball complex tomorrow. Then we're off until Friday. We cover the first of 3 games against Lincoln University on Friday, then 2 more on Saturday in the season finale as Kalika couldn't make the sliding basket catch, and that would have been some play.
A lot of ground for him to cover there. He's not the most agile, but came pretty close on that one.
And he wanted it bad. Hit the ground in frustration after he got up. As he really hustled to get to that one.
Now, Lewis, would you like a headset or a microphone? You have a lot to say to my left. He says that's okay.
We can see it in your face, Lou.
Lewis might be joining us tomorrow. We'll see. He'll be in the room at least. I can't wait to critique his scoring further tomorrow. I was told by a fan after the game today that they love when I challenge the calls in the official scoring. So they are students of the game watching at home as Roberts looks at another called strike 3.
And another strikeout for Esposito. Great job on the mound. Just mowing these guys down here in this inning. 2 up, 2 down on strikeouts.
2 outs here in the top half of the 5th. And that pitch is in for a called strike 1. That's slapped foul the other way by Jake Woods. Fans are clamoring at home for Louis Matrone to put the headsets on.
We Want Lou is trending right now on social media.
The hashtag and everything?
Hashtag Free Matrone. One ball and 2 strikes the count. And that's lined into left center field for a base hit. And the Purple Knights now have a 2-out base runner.
And Esposito got close there with those 2 strikeouts in a row to start the inning, and then he gives up a base hit, so Bridgeport's going to keep the inning going.
That will bring Alex Rosso to the plate. Rosso's 1 for 2 in the game, has 2 RBIs. An extra base hit here could plate one more, likely would. See if Woods looks to run over at first. Owen won the count on the Purple Knights' third baseman as Esposito comes set, and he will check on the runner. I'm not sure I've seen a pitcher since Aaron Nola who checks on the runners more than John Esposito. Andrew, that got a reaction out of you, I could see.
Yeah, at least last night, Aaron Nola was that was a lot of looks over at first base.
Yeah. But did they steal a base against him? I don't think so.
No, you're right.
And Esposito's done much of the same.
Well, Marte, I don't know if you guys saw the replay.
We did.
He was safe, but they called him out even with the replay. So,
have to agree with you
sure.
there, Nick.
I'm not sure what happened there.
Non-bias, of course.
I agreed he was safe.
So, Andrew, the first time you attended a professional baseball game.
Yes.
What did you think of that experience?
Not my first baseball game, my first Mets game.
First Mets game. So what other baseball games have you been to? Yankee games?
I went to a Red Sox-Yankees game in Boston.
Very nice.
And I went to Rockies-Cubs in Colorado.
Interesting.
Which is different, but that was fun.
Did you have, don't they have like grasshoppers or something out there you could eat in the stadium?
In Colorado?
I think so.
Grasshoppers?
Some sort of bug they have on the menu.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Pretty sure. They have some sort of insect on the menu.
Interesting.
Out there. That's something I will not be reviewing in a future food review. That's for sure.
You won't? Why not?
I draw the line at bugs.
You draw the line at insects. Okay. So you're not a terkesterone guy. That's an insect-based.
Won't do that.
Supplement.
You won't catch me eating bacon.
Me either.
I'm not. There's some. I have some limit. I'm not gonna have anything with mushrooms.
Turkey bacon for you or no?
No.
No.
Nothing smells worse to me than bacon. The way it's cooked. Ugh.
Well, the way it's cooked is not for me. And I'm typically someone who likes the fatty, high-sodium foods. And that one sent it to the left field corner by Rosso, and he's going to pick up that third RBI, as I mentioned before. It's a 2-out RBI stand-up double for Alex Rosso, and the Purple Knights now lead it by 2. Our score 4-2 Bridgeport in the top half of the 5th.
Yeah, Purple Knights catch a big break there. That one rolls all the way to the wall after it lands in left, and that brings a run home, and they extend the lead to 2 now here in the 5th.
And we haven't been here for the entire game, obviously. We missed 2 runs back in the first, but Bridgeport has gotten some pretty good swings against John Esposito so far. Not something we're accustomed to seeing.
Well, Joe, I know you don't have the stats in front of you, but off the top of your head, what's the most runs Esposito has allowed this season?
In a start that I've covered, I want to say 4.
Well, last week, a lot of them were unearned.
That's a good point. As Kalika applies the tag to Pascal, and that's a great play by the Dolphins' first baseman as he gets Esposito out of the inning, and you can see Esposito a bit frustrated with himself as he heads off the field. His team now trailing by 2, heading to the bottom half of the 5th inning.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor.
It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
And we are back from the College of Staten Island. Bottom half of the fifth inning about to get started. With the Dolphins trailing 4-2. And for CSI, they will play from behind 2 runs once again after they got even in the bottom half of the second. 1 run in the fourth and 1 run in the fifth to the Purple Knights, who now lead 4-2 as they send Justin Nairady back to the mound. First man he will face here in the fifth inning is Dominic Castiglione, and he takes a called strike 1. Castiglione officially 1 for 1 at the plate and has drawn a walk. Comes the 0-1. That sails up high. That ball's hit well out to left field, but it's off the glove of Woods, who was right there to make the play. It gets away from him and rolls all the way to the wall. And that's going to be an E7 on the Purple Knights left fielder, as that ball was hit pretty hard, but Woods was there waiting for it, and maybe he overran it by a step, but either way, it hit right off his glove.
That's what it looked like, Joe. It looked like he overran it just a step, and it looked like it was just a little too hard for him to handle, and it pops right in and out of the glove, and Castiglione standing at second to lead off the side.
So taking us back to last inning, guys, Colorado Rockies have Rocky Mountain oysters. Let's just say those are not made of anything with fish or oyster. They are kind of shaped from a bowl, and they're in the shape of a meatball. I'll let you use your imagination from there to figure out what exactly that is that you would eat at the Colorado Rockies games.
Not for me, Nick. Not for me.
I'll pass. And
I can't say it on the air, but I'll point it to you.
That's what you're eating?
I'm not eating that. I asked Andrew if he ate that when he went to the Rockies game.
They're serving that?
Yes. It's what they're famous for at the stadium.
People eat that?
Yes.
Well, I can't see it from here, but if you're giving it that kind of reaction, Joe, I definitely didn't try it.
It gives new meaning to that softball chant. We don't want your dirty balls.
Nope. Definitely not.
Put 2 and 2 together, and you can figure out what they're serving over there.
People in Colorado are built differently.
They sure are. I mean,
it's a different world out there.
The Rocky Mountain oysters.
I cannot believe they serve that as a menu item.
And that people actually enjoy it.
I mean, again,
as a field reporter, it was my duty to track down that story. I found the answer.
I'm speechless. And I know our viewers have to be on the edge of their seats right now.
And rarely are you left speechless, Joe.
That is correct. I'm rarely left speechless, but...
Just like a bull, you're seeing red.
Exactly.
Why call them oysters, though?
Had to call them something.
Until you showed me that article, there's no way I would have figured out what that was. As Thomas Martin takes a called strike 2, so... Martin quickly in a 2-strike hole here, and we will get back to this conversation.
Not letting that one go.
I am not letting it go. I'm going to beat around the bush as much as I can, metaphorically, of course. And hopefully our viewers can try and figure out what we're talking about, but wow.
Yeah, and right now in this game, things are getting really testy out there. 4-2, and... Dolphins need to make a comeback here offensively.
That was a good one. I have to say, that was a good one. That sails up high.
Did you come up with that rhyme by yourself earlier, Andrew, or did it just slip out?
Did any of the New York teams draft a pass rusher? They did? Who was it, Lewis?
Kayvon Thibodeau. There's new Tibbs in town.
Some could call him a sack artist, as that swung on and missed for strike 3 by Martin.
Sometimes I can't take the commentary on this show.
Stephen Kalika will be the batter. We're cracking ourselves up in the booth here. Kalika's 1 for 2.
So if given the choice, Joe, would you have a Rocky Mountain oyster or a fried grasshopper from Seattle Mariners field?
Over the offering in Colorado, I would take just about anything. So the grasshopper it is.
I was going to say the same thing.
It's not even a question.
I'd take anything over that, so.
It's not even a question.
Anything.
I mean, how do you come back from that?
It's a delicacy, apparently, in Colorado.
A delicacy?
I want to know what people who actually enjoy it think of it.
What do they rave about the texture? I mean,
maybe the shape.
There's no coming back from that, in my opinion. You just can't. Stephen Kalika is ahead in the count here, 3-0. He walked on 4 pitches his last time up.
Do we have any comments from any viewers at home?
Yes.
Anybody's thoughts?
Yes, my phone is being flooded with messages right now.
I think the next time the ACC orders food, try to trick them and say you should try the Rocky Mountain oysters and see if they order from
Horrible.
And we're going to have a pitching change, which gives us the perfect opportunity to get this conversation going a bit more. But the Dolphins now have the tying runs on base. Castiglione stands over at second. Kalika is on first. Now, the binoculars are in hand. Will I need them is the question as the new pitcher comes into the game for the Purple Knights. And it looks like senior Justin Nairady has likely left the field for the final time, or at least Nairady is being treated as if he's leaving the field for the final time. Now, Nairady is listed on the roster as a junior, but as all of us know, the 2020 season was wiped out by the COVID-19 pandemic, so a lot of juniors athletically are playing in their final games this year, and that was the case for 3 Dolphins. Porcaro, McPherson, and Caterich for CSI were here 3 years, but because of the missed year in 2020, they were playing their final games at home today. The Dolphins are back in action tomorrow at Queens, so their season is not over.
You can never assume, what grade someone's in. We saw it with basketball. I was shocked on senior day that the freshman, Patrick Daddio, is being celebrated for senior day based on his eligibility for basketball. It was very stunning. But he was a senior because he joined the team late, and then, as you mentioned, the COVID year wiped everything out.
Daddio, a frequent visitor to my gym, Crunch Fitness, on Staten Island.
And you could see his father in this game, coaching.
That's right. So the new pitcher for the Purple Knights is Tyler Solomon. Now would be about the time where I give you his numbers, but we didn't know we were calling this game, so I don't have those. Now, Lewis does have a laptop with internet. If he wanted to weasel his way into the broadcast, now would be the time.
Lewis has a lot to say about his favorite type of oysters.
Well, Lewis is headed to the wrong website. He's at csidolphins.com. He won't find the stats there.
He could find them if he goes to the schedule.
That's where he's
clicks
going.
On the Bridgeport.
That's where he's going. That's a few extra clicks, though.
You guys got to give him a chance a little bit here.
Well, he's going to get those numbers, and we'll pass those along to you. First man that Solomon will face is Pat Gardner. Gardner comes to the plate 1 for 1. With 2 away in the inning, a base hit could pull the Dolphins back to within a run. An extra base hit could tie the game. Lewis looks like he's struggling over there. I've delayed for time enough. You got to find those stats, Lewis. You're the statistician.
What's the statistician without his stats?
Some schmuck seated to my left.
Good one.
I think he gave up.
Lou, I have them up on my phone here if you need them.
Andrew one-upping the statistician. Wow. You're out of time, boys.
I wasn't trying to do that. I was trying to help him out.
To short, and it gets by the diving shortstop and into left field. A great effort by Roberts wasn't enough. And in to score the third Dolphins run is Dominic Castiglione. Kalika goes first to third. And it's an RBI single for Pat Gardner to pull the Dolphins back to within a run. Our score is 4-3.
Well, Joe, now I've seen everything in the broadcast booth. Gardner, who's known for losing his hat, hits it to left. The left fielder loses his hat. And, I mean, you just can't make this stuff up.
All right, Andrew, let's get the numbers on Tyler Solomon. All right, Andrew doesn't know where he is either. Those are his
Apparently
stats.
not.
Those are his stats for the game, Andrew. Those aren't his numbers.
Well, so far he's got one pitch.
Yeah, I'm going to help Lewis out here. He's really struggling. As the first pitch misses to Nick Cipoletti, or I should say is in for a called
Lewis
strike
has
one.
a hardwired laptop.
Thank
and
you,
he
Lewis.
opts for the phone.
Well, I now have Lewis's phone, which is much bulkier than mine, but don't mind. Tyler Solomon comes in with an ERA of 3.52 across 7 appearances this year. He's only pitched 7 2/3, as that's chopped foul by Cipoletti. He's allowed 3 hits, 4 runs, 3 of those earned. He's walked 8 and struck out 8. Opposing batters hitting only 120 against him. So, opposing hitters have really had a tough time with Solomon, but Gardner quickly picks up the first Dolphins hit off the Purple Knights right-hander. Base hit here ties the game. And that's chopped on the ground. Backhanded it short. Another chance for Roberts. And his throw is just in time. Cipoletti is retired. The Dolphins strand a pair, but they pull back to within 1 run. Our score 4-3, headed to the 6th inning. And we're back from the CSI Baseball Complex where the Dolphins are back to within a run, but they are down to their final 6 outs. Our score 4-3 at the start of inning number 6. Leading things off for the Purple Knights will be Jeremy Rodriguez. He's 1 for 2 at the plate in this game. And if you're the Dolphins and John Esposito, you want to keep this game right where it is. You've already shown, as we saw in Game 1, if you're the Dolphins, that you can get up on the scoreboard. They did score 6 runs in the first game, but they had trouble recording outs late in the game, and they entered the 9th inning trailing by 3. That game ended with a 12-run Dolphins loss. So CSI wants to keep the Purple Knights right where they are here in the 6th.
Yeah, this is a big inning for Esposito, as Dolphins just 2 innings left and still trail a run. So, of course, he's going to want to get out of here with no damage.
Well, Nick is giving Lewis a hard time from back at home. Our colleague and friend Nick
Wow.
Pavona, watching at home, says that if Lewis wanted to find the stats, all he had to do was type in Bridgeport Pirates baseball. I'm not sure what game he's watching, but it's not this one. Bridgeport is the Purple Knights.
Not even close, Nick.
The Pirates?
Not even close.
The Tahoe High School Pirates?
We're not in Pittsburgh anymore. They do wear purple, don't they, Nick?
The Tahoe High School does wear purple, yes.
Oh, so Nick was playing against the Pirates in MLB The Show. He's making excuses. Multitasking. Taking in the game and playing some video games at the same time.
Very good at multitasking, Nick.
I've seen it firsthand as he engineers, provides color,
That's what
gives
I was
us
referring to.
replays, and now this could get interesting.
Uh-oh.
Now, we had the batter claim he was hit by the pitch.
Let's get that replay ready.
Yeah, good luck. I think we're way past that point, but Lewis does and clicked it. So, let's see what comes of this, as the batter is awarded first base, so Rodriguez is on. Now, Mike Morrow obviously was not happy with the call, and it took some convincing from the third base coaching box for that call to be made. Now, it almost appeared as if they were checking the uniform of Rodriguez for perhaps a mark made by the ball. And the infield umpire and the home plate umpire will converse. And
this is the right move here, but usually 9 times out of 10, if one guy misses it, the other guy is probably going to just say, I'll stick with your call here. I don't want to show you up here unless you had a great view. But if you're in the field in that situation, you're not paying attention to that. You are not watching very closely, so he probably didn't have a great angle. Nobody else was on base, so he was in the A slot, which means he was in foul territory behind the first base bag, so he certainly did not have the great angle on it. And they meet, and they're going to keep everything.
And the call is changed back. So it went from foul ball to hit batter, and now back to foul ball. You don't see that too often.
And here we go again, Joe, with the situations that we don't see often happening again.
Well, this batter here has got to walk the plank back towards home plate, and he's going to have to continue the at-bat now. 1-0-1 count.
Great Pirate reference.
So the count on the scoreboard reads 1 ball and 1 strike. That's popped up behind the plate, foul territory, and into the seats. Count 1 ball and 2 strikes on the Purple Knights first baseman, and bit of a roller coaster ride to open up this 6th inning. There is action in the Bridgeport bullpen. No action in the Dolphins bullpen. We don't have an official pitch count on Esposito, as that's lined into center field for a base hit. And the Purple Knights dugout loves that one.
Ball don't lie, I guess.
Well, I am not sure what that was, but we had
a very loud noise.
A very loud noise indeed. I don't know what that was. Our investigative sideline reporter might want to take a walk down the hall and investigate.
He's on it.
All right, sounds good. At the plate is Jacob Rich. Rich, the Purple Knights left fielder, as Nick is going to take a look down the hall. I'll take his headset for him so he can go walk. And that one winds up in the Purple Knights bullpen, and the runner goes first to third. So, Nick, was that an errant pickoff? It was. So an errant pickoff as I tried to take Nick's headset from him. I turned around, and the Dolphins promptly sent the ball into right field on the pickoff attempt. Now, taking a look down at the Purple Knights bullpen, it looked like the reliever had his hands out at his side. I think the Dolphins felt like he may have somehow interfered with the play. I didn't see it, as that is ripped foul.
Yeah, I didn't see that either, Joe, but it has to be hard with having the bullpens right there by the left and right field lines. When the ball goes in play down the line, it's got to be hard to dodge out of the way and make sure you don't interfere with the ball.
And when you're a pitcher, you have your back to the batter, so you hear the sound of the bat hitting the ball and you figure, okay, head on a swivel now. But that ball was sent into right field on a pickoff, so you don't have that luxury of hearing the sound of the bat. As Nick returns, we'll see if he has any information from down the hall.
All right, gentlemen, so based on my investigation skills, I surveyed the room. Looks like there's a room 2 over from us, and My guess here is that there was a plaque in the room that fell because I see a plaque laying flat on the desk. So I think that fell. Maybe it was standing up against the wall or something, and that would be the sound that we heard crashing down.
Well, that was there when we walked in, so I know that wasn't it.
That was a flat on the desk.
Yes, it was.
So
it was.
Then the only thing that it could possibly be would be maybe somebody crushed a home run from softball and hit into the...
Well, Nick, I was going to ask Joe if there's ever been history of a ghost in this press box.
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of. Okay.
Not that I know of.
So it's something else.
Could have been the ACC.
Could have been the ACC.
Maybe. Punched the wall in frustration. We have to be impartial. The ACC, not so much. And Esposito comes up with the strikeout there, and very quickly they're now 2 away.
Esposito's been very clutch with his strikeouts. He's come up very big in spots where he's gotten his strikeouts.
Rich struck out for the first out. Behind him, Sharfitz just struck out. And there's a first pitch strike to Craig Leonard, and Esposito making a bid to get through this inning without allowing a run. And that pitch just missed. Comes the 1-1, and that misses down and away. Leonard is 0 for 2 at the plate. Base hit here will give his team a 2-run lead. Huge out here for Esposito and the Dolphins, and that hit Leonard in the back.
Caught him right in the back of the shoulder. Bridgeport extends the inning.
And it looks like we're going to have a pinch hitter. Christian Ortiz will be the batter. And he will come to the plate with runners on the corners and 2 outs.
We'll see if Lewis or Andrew can get us Mr. Ortiz's numbers on the season here before his at-bat concludes.
Lewis is right on it.
No, Lewis is right on it.
He already has the link open. He's learning fast. Ortiz is just 3 of 33 on the year. He received what looked like one of those placards that players use to get signs.
Cheat sheet. Not sure how much that's going to help at the plate, though.
Now, do you think the runner on first is going to run? And that was exactly what I was anticipating. Well, I didn't read his mind. I'm just very familiar, having seen this so many times with these situations. And teams typically look to induce a rundown and allow the runner to score from third. But
right on cue, Joe.
Dolphins don't throw. So 2 in scoring position now, and that's an ugly swing by Ortiz for strike 1. And that pitch is in for a called strike 2.
For anybody wondering, Joe Foreman has finally finished his vodka chicken parm hero that he got around 1:40 p.m.
Yeah, it was a rough afternoon trying to navigate the clouds of dust while I was eating my sandwich. As that pitch is in for a called strike 3, and Esposito is fired up as he heads back to the dugout. Purple Knights get a runner over to third base and do not score. Esposito strikes out the side in the 6th. Dolphins come to bat after this break, trailing by a run.
You Know 'Em Right is the podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, entertainment, and pop culture. On the show, hosts Nick and Joe walk guests through the retelling of their humble beginnings, covering an array of topics from specific interests and hobbies to personal opinions regarding each facet of their industry. You Know I'm Right offers insight on how to adapt and advance, and offers alternative advice as opposed to a one-size-fits-all strategy. Above all else, the number one goal of You Know I'm Right is to offer listeners an exclusive behind-the-scenes vantage point not found anywhere else through its increasing list of professional connections. With a following that continues to grow daily, You Know I'm Right is transforming into a must-listen podcast in the right place at the right time. Find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. You do not want to miss an episode of You Know I'm Right.
And we are back from the College of Staten Island. Alan Morrell will lead things off for the Dolphins in the home half of the sixth. Dolphins still trailing by a single run as that's chopped on the ground through the left side for a base hit. And just like that, the Dolphins have the leadoff man on in the home half of inning number 6.
And they realize, Joe, that they're running out of time here, down just one run, and they go right after it here in their side of the sixth. It's a base hit, and an important one at that.
Brian Burkhead will be the batter. And that pitch is fouled straight back. Burkhead is 0 for 2 at the plate. I don't think Morrell is much of a threat to steal in this spot. Now, would the Dolphins ask Burkhead to bunt? Unlikely with one strike, but I would have thought about it before that first pitch. He's showing bunt here. And he pulls it back. Now, Michael Crocco stands in the on-deck circle. So Crocco will bat for Jake Myers. As Burkhead pulls that bunt back, and he's now ahead in the count, 2-1. According to my lineup, Crocco did replace Myers in the field, so we're not getting the changes passed to us here at the commentary desk, but that change must have happened in the previous inning. See if we can find it. Yeah, the fifth, as that bunt is a good one, right back to the mound, and Morrell moves up to second with the tying run.
What do you think, Andrew? Did he have time to go to second there?
Definitely not. What do you think?
Let's see what Joe thinks first.
Okay.
Let's see the replay.
I think if he charged immediately and went straight to second, he would have had him.
I agree if he charged, but he did not charge, so I thought they were conceding that they were only getting the out at first. Would have been a close play at second. I think there was a chance, but like you said, Nick,
it would have been very, very close.
He didn't charge hard enough. He didn't charge hard enough.
Because typically, the worst place to bunt the ball is straight back to the pitcher.
Unless you bunt it very slowly like that. Right. That ball wasn't bunted too hard.
So Burkhead gets the job done there.
If you're bunting it back to the pitcher, you better get on top of the ball. So Michael Crocco is the batter. He's behind 0-1, and that's hit deep toward the right field corner, but that ball is foul.
Into the bullpen it goes, and there is action in Bridgeport's bullpen once again.
Action in the Purple Knights bullpen. The Dolphins bullpen is dormant.
Going to let Esposito finish this one off, if possible. Going to save those arms. A lot of people pitched in Game 1 here. People pitched yesterday. And another game tomorrow.
Crocco fouls that pitch straight back. So for those who will be tuning in tomorrow, the game against the Saints is a single 9-inning game. It is a makeup from a game that was scheduled earlier this month. The game was knocked out by inclement weather. They couldn't get the third game of that 3-game set in on that weekend, so it is played tomorrow instead, as Crocco takes up and away. This at-bat, Crocco's first of the day. As I mentioned before, he came in as a defensive replacement for Jake Myers back in the 5th. Dolphins second baseman behind, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And the pitch from Solomon is bounced over to short. It's handled by Roberts, and the throw is in time to retire Crocco for the second out.
And Roberts just gets Crocco by a step or two there. They advance the runner to third, but 2 outs in the inning. Dolphins, to tie this game, they're going to need a pretty big play here.
Dominic Castiglione will be the batter. A base hit here ties the game. Dolphins down to their last 4 outs, playing in the bottom half of the 6th. Solomon has allowed a couple of base hits since coming in out of the Bridgeport bullpen. Dolphins looking for one more as Castiglione takes ball 1. Castiglione 1 for 2 at the plate, has drawn a walk. Shendi Ulaj would be next. And Castiglione is backed off of the plate by 2 straight pitches.
That went way inside, Joe. Castiglione does a little spin move to get away from it.
Here comes the 2-0. And that's off the inside corner for ball 3. So Castiglione had 3 balls and no strikes. And the Dolphins' most dangerous hitter stands in the on-deck circle, as that catches the inside corner for the first strike. And behind Ulaj, you have Thomas Martin, so no relief behind Castiglione. Here comes the 3-1, and that's hit well out to left field. Chasing it into the gap is the left fielder. He won't get there as the wind just kept carrying that ball, and it's over Rosso's head for an RBI double. And with that, the Dolphins have tied the score at 4.
And the wind played a big favor for the Dolphins on that play, Joe, as that just kept carrying. It just seemed like forever that ball was in the air, and the left fielder, no matter where he was, just could not get underneath it, and it carries all the way to the left center wall.
Rosso couldn't believe it. I thought for sure he had it. Judging by the way he was running, I thought he had it off the bat. And then you could see, as he was moving toward the warning track, he began to run a bit faster, and at that point you could tell he'd lost the play.
Absolutely, Joe. And Dolphins take advantage, and they get this game all tied up here at late stages of this one.
I want to make the argument, though, that if he's running out of the box, Castiglione should be on third base right now with a triple.
Oh, he should be, absolutely. No doubt. The amount of time that ball spent in the air, that's definitely fair to say. That ball was up there forever.
Yeah, right off the bat, I knew there was no shot that was going to be caught. Just
really?
Based on the way the left fielder was going back. Definitely in the gap. We've seen it time and time again here. The gaps here, once it gets up in the air, it's a disaster for the defenses many times when the wind is blowing towards left field.
Well, I'll give you that. When the ball is up in the air here, it doesn't give the defense much of a chance. But judging by the way that Rosso was playing that ball, and Rosso moved over to left field. That was Woods earlier out in left, so that's a change. Jake Woods was the left fielder earlier in the game, so he's no longer in left. He's now in center. It's possible I made a mistake, but I'm fairly certain Woods was in left earlier. I can actually check. So let's check our original lineup. Woods did open the game in left field, so for Rosso, that's one of his first chances out there. Maybe that played a role. Is you take a look, and the way he... Play that replay again, Lewis. the way he was drifting on that ball, to me, it looked like he thought he had it. And it's so hard to see.
I think he thought it was gone.
Maybe.
It did land near the warning track.
It did. But it didn't look like Rosso was running that hard. You could be right, Nick. Maybe he thought it was gone. But that ball did hang up there for an eternity, and I thought Castiglione got under it. He clearly got more of it than I thought he did. But with that extra base hit, and the score now tied at 4, Purple Knights will make a pitching change, and Justin Hafeel will come into the game. Now, Lewis, do you have those numbers for us? All right, thank you, Lewis. Hafeel comes in having appeared in 14 games. He's pitched to a record of 2-1. He has an ERA of 7.12. He does have 6 saves. Across 24 innings, he's allowed 28 hits, 21 runs, 19 of those earned. He's walked 10 and struck out 23.
Ulaj intentionally walked, and that's going to bring up Mr. G6 himself, Thomas Martin.
And what is 3 plus 3, Nick?
6.
33. Thomas Martin.
3 plus 3 is 6.
I don't know about that one, Joe.
Had to add on, though, as that looked like it was off the shin protector and to the backstop. So Sharfitz loses it, and that's going to be a passed ball. Now, I think there was a mix-up with the signs because he's having a word with Hafeel. So I think there was some confusion there. Sharfitz was crossed up.
I think that definitely went off the shin pad, Joe. I heard a little pop.
Oh, it did. It went off the shin guard for sure. So Martin steps back into the box ahead in the count 1-0. Base hit here could now put the Dolphins in front by 2. It's a huge out for Hafeel out of the Bridgeport bullpen, and he finds the zone with that breaking ball for strike 1.
Joe, would you consider putting Martin on here? Getting down the lineup here.
With a lefty on deck, probably not. At least not intentionally. Not intentionally. You could pitch around him, and he's thrown 3 straight breaking balls, so perhaps that's the plan. Lewis, pull up the numbers again for Hafeel, just to see the walks. I think he had 10. He had 10 walks in 24 innings. So command doesn't seem to be a problem for the Bridgeport right-hander, but he's behind on Martin 3-1 here.
This is a huge spot for Martin, up 3-1 in the count, and having runners at second and third.
Field comes set, and the 3-1 pitch misses well outside for ball 4. Now, if there was ever a situation where a pitcher was working around a hitter, that situation was certainly a good time to do it, and it looked a lot like he did there. That will bring Stephen Kalika to the plate. Kalika is 0 for 1, has walked twice. He comes to bat with the bases loaded. 2 out. Dolphins and Purple Knights even at 4 runs apiece. And that misses away for ball 1. No action in the Dolphins bullpen, which means the 7th inning belongs to John Esposito. Can CSI hand him a lead? And that's fouled back.
Sounded like it hit something hard there, Joe.
Sure did. After this next pitch, if we have time, we'll flash back to last year's game for just a moment. The last time these two teams played each other on this field before today. As the 1-1 is popped up, shallow center field, and that ball is down for a base hit. The throw goes to third, and the runner is out. Did the run score?
Yes.
The home plate umpire says no. Lewis, get the replay.
I thought he said safe. I guess not.
Now, Lewis, do you have that replay at the point where the runner crossed home? All right, let's see it. Mike Morrow can't believe it. It was so close. And we'll have to pause it. That is so close. We'll have to slow it down and play it one more time. Well, I've taken command of the controls right now, but we'll get a look at it. We'll go full speed until the runner approaches third. Good call. That's the right call. The run does not count. And I think they got it right.
So if you look on that replay, you'll notice there, Martin, before heading to third, is looking back into the center field. He should have just been picking up Coach Morrow there, not looking, and that is what caused him to be out there.
That's a good catch, Nick, and it's impressive that you saw it on such a small screen. But
I saw it in real time, so I noticed that. Just like I noticed in our softball game that one of the players on the Mavericks had her cleats untied. Do not recommend that at all.
No, I would not either, but Lewis, we're going to stay right here as we head to the top half of the seventh inning. Dolphins do have the lead by just a single run, so that's a huge play. Now, if you realize you're about to have a close play at third, if you're Martin, is there any possibility that you consider stopping and just giving yourself up to make sure the run scores? Is that something that even crosses your mind? Any chance?
I think you should have turned around and gotten a run down. At least the run score is there, and take the chance from that point on.
Well, a good position for the Dolphins to be in right here as Esposito returns to the mound. And I'm not sure if there's any pitcher on the staff you trust more to get you 3 outs. And I don't think we've seen Esposito pitch in a seventh inning this year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've seen that yet.
I can back you up on that. I don't think so either.
He's definitely gone 6.
Statistician says 6 is max.
Well, Lewis could pull up.
I think he has gone 7, but not in a 7-inning game. Road game, a 9-inning game.
It is possible he's gone 7 in a 9-inning game. Lewis can pull that up for us, though. Head to CSIDolphins.com, click on John Esposito, and we'll get a look. Yep, we do have 1 7 and an 8.
Yeah.
Now, I think those are road games, if I'm not mistaken. So that would mean he has not gone 7 in any game we have covered. Canal Roberts at the plate, and he pops one up on the infield. Crocco is there, and he makes the catch for the first out.
Big out number 1 for the Dolphins there, Joe, as they get the lead-off batter. And now just 2 outs away, up a run.
That will bring Jake Woods to the plate. So Esposito went 8 at Mercy on April 1st, and then went 7 against Deauville later in the month. This is the first time he is pitching in the 7th inning here at home this year. He's behind Woods 1-0. And that pitch sails up and away for ball 2. Two, 3, and 4 were due up for the Purple Knights entering this half inning. Roberts, Woods, Rosso. And that's a good attempt to frame that pitch by Morrell, but he doesn't get the call, and now Esposito is behind Woods 3-0. That pitch catches the zone. Well, if you're Esposito here, you have to attack Woods. Make him put the ball in play. Don't want to issue the walk in this spot. Here comes the 3-1. That's fouled away.
Good job by Esposito to get that count back up to 3-2 after falling behind 3-0.
What kind of pitch you recommend throwing here, Andrew? You go for something off speed or bring the heat?
I'd bring the heat here, Nick.
I don't think you have a choice unless you have supreme confidence in the breaking ball. And that was a fastball, and it's fouled away. Also, without a breakdown of the stats in front of me, it's hard to tell. You can look, obviously, at the live stats, but that only gives you so much information. How these hitters have fared against Esposito in this game. Woods is 1 for 3. Has not struck out yet, and he will draw a walk here. Now, out of curiosity, did that pitch hit him? I don't think so.
Came pretty close, but I don't think it hit him.
I don't think so either. It was close. And that will bring Alex Rosso to the plate.
Rosso with a chance here for a little retribution, some would say.
He's had himself a great day.
Well, you did mention his fielding in left field before, though.
I don't think you can blame any outfielder, especially one who just moved over to left field, for not making that play.
I don't think that was a catchable ball. At least not the way he was going after it.
And he rips one straight into the glove of Shendi Ulaj, and sliding back into first base is Woods, and there are now 2 outs.
Well, with the result of Game 1, if you told Coach Morrow we'll be going into the bottom of the 7th here with 2 outs with a 5-4 lead, he definitely would have signed up for that.
If you told him Esposito would be on the mound, I'm not sure he could have signed up any faster. Purple Knights down to their last out. That swung on and missed by Anthony Pascal for strike 1.
Will the streak end here, Joe, of me broadcasting only losses this season for baseball?
Well, you got to win over at softball. You're 1 out away here at baseball. And that's hit well out to deep left field. Ranging back toward the wall is Kehoe, and he makes the catch with his back against the fence. And that will do it as the Dolphins hang on by just about 2 feet. They beat the Purple Knights 5-4.
Wow, Joe, that was a close one back towards the wall. That looked like it had a chance, and Kehoe puts his back right up against the wall and grabs it and ends the game, and what a close one. But the Dolphins come away with the victory, and that's a big one.
Well, Nick, you went for the announcer's jinx right there. Once again, you almost doomed the Dolphins. Fans back at home would not have been happy with you, but for the first time this year, you have been a part of the call on a Dolphins win.
Absolutely. 500 in softball in the season, and now making our way back over baseball. That was scary, Joe. I thought that was gone off the bat. The wind was blowing out, but just enough room there to make the catch. And the Dolphins, they'll take the split here today, and they get the victory 5-4 over Bridgeport.
Well, off the bat, I thought he got under it just a bit, and fortunately for the Dolphins, Michael Kehoe had enough room to make the grab at the top of the left field fence. But for the Dolphins, they earn a split against the University of Bridgeport in today's East Coast Conference doubleheader, and for the first time this year, we brought you triple header coverage from the College of Staten Island. CSI softball earlier in the day splits with Mercy College, and then baseball here takes Game 2 from the University of Bridgeport. So for everyone who has joined us all season for softball, we didn't get a chance to thank them as we signed off and rushed over to baseball. But for those who tuned in from the softball broadcast, thank you for tuning in all year. And for those looking for more baseball, you won't have to wait long. We are right back on the air tomorrow when the Dolphins take on DeUville University, as I hope to get that right all day tomorrow as well. I will be joined on the call by our friend and colleague, Nick Bavona, who I know is watching from back at home right now. Thanks for tuning in, Nick. And once again, thank you to everyone else who tuned in throughout the day today. Coverage from the College of Staten Island, softball and baseball. So until tomorrow, this has been Joe Foreman. For my broadcast partners, Andrew Rotundo and Nick Durst, thank you for watching. Our final score, Dolphins 5, Purple Knights 4 from the CSI Baseball Complex.